Okay, here is a video of some 3 pocket knives that I made. These are made by Rough Rider Custom Shop. They're pretty cheap kit. They're about 12 bucks each. I bought 3 of them, and it was just something to try out. I've never built a pocket knife before. This first one is for me. I made this one for my brother-in-law for Father's Day, and I made this one for my father for Father's Day. Let me shake one of these out. Pretty popular pattern. It's like the Buck 110. It's got diamond wood handles, brass pins. You pretty much build the entire knife. So you've got the let me show you the spring you put in right there, the lock, the blade comes unsharpened. There's no edge at all. You have to lay an edge on it. You pretty much have to shape the handles. They come oversized, and this is brass. And you have to pretty much put a edge on, put a finish on here. This is just took a file and sanded it and buffed it out. It comes very rough. This was the first one that I had done for myself. It didn't come out that good. It looks alright, but you have to put a shim in here. And I learned as I went that it's best to put a shim here at the pivot point for the lock, because it will bind up. And these parts aren't the exact. They're kind of cheap, you know, and so don't expect them to work perfectly unless you spend the time on it. And as I was learning different things. All the pins, pretty much as I was peening them over, split the wood a little bit, so I had to do a little cosmetics with some epoxy and fill it to make sure that it was sound. But this first one, the knife was pretty stiff on it because I didn't use a shim. So that's the one I made for me. This one, I put a shim in it, and I spent the time to try to, I think I only split this one right here. So I learned when I was peening it over to kind of pay attention to that. They need a little more buffing, and this one has absolutely no edge on it. This is how it comes. You need to put an edge on it. So grind it with a hone and then sharpen it up. So that's the one I made for my brother-in-law. And this last one was the last one that I did. I ended up giving to my father. The only thing I didn't like about this one is that I made a little chip right there. I don't know if you can see it. I ended up putting a shim here and here at both pivot points, and it was working pretty good. Then I started buffing on it, and I think some of the buffing compound got in here and made it a lot more difficult to open. So I'm not too happy with all the prep work that I did on it, and didn't really see much in the way of results. So that could just be my lack of understanding on building a folder, or it could just be that these are cheap knives, and you know, like I said, some of the parts aren't very true. You can see on this one that I tried to straighten this, but there's like a little gap where this piece was bent. But see, like you can see right here, I just pushed down the lock and it goes up, but it doesn't go down all the way. So there's some safety concerns, and if you're going to be using the knife, to make sure that that lock is not going to stick. You don't want it sticking and then not lock in with the blade, because it can do that also if you open this up. in the open position, and this is locked. So see how it's catching like there? It's not going down until you push on it. You could possibly hurt yourself. As a side note, this one is completely finished, aside from maybe some finish buffing with the pink or red rouge, like a jeweler's rouge. Just something that doesn't cut but will polish out a little bit better. But I did put an edge on it, so you can see this blade is, it wiggles a little bit. There's a little bit of play in it. So those are my knives that I made. I plan on making some other ones I'm going to get from Jantz. A little bit better knife, I think. But I was surprised when these came. You know, you get every piece. You get basically, you get an extra pin. You get the big pin here. These are big pins, and these are big pins. And then you get the smaller pins for the handles. And you know, I mean, when I got it, it was in such rough condition that they actually left the cast. They used the sand and oil casting that was on this brass when they casted the pieces. So, and everything's got a hard edge on it, so I sanded off all the hard edges all the way around. But you know, for $10, I learned a lot, had some fun. So if you end up getting one, just know that there's, unless you're an expert knife builder and you know what to look for, they're not best for the learner. Unless you just plan on buying a handful of them and making your mistakes like I did. So, alright, well that's the Rough Rider custom shop knife. This is the 5-inch model. They have a 3-inch, and then they have a couple other different versions. Alrighty, catch you later.